discuss traumatic stress and crisis intervention. So at this point in time, I'm going to turn the mic over to Chaplain Joseph P. Chacko. Let's show him some love.
So good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
Thank you for Customer Dana for arranging this program. Probably you can have noticed that an accent, a Norwegian accent. Just because I used to be minister, but I was just kidding. I'm a chaplain by profession. I also have a degree in mental health. So mainly I work as a mental health chaplain at the hospital here. So that is the funding that I wanted to support. So many of my way of looking at things, psychological issue, can be also from a spiritual perspective. And I don't have any financial support on the land that I get from the media. Financial support as a staff. I don't have any commercial interest in presenting this law. So what do you see there? I see one there.
To go on the lights a little bit, I can see.
Are you able to see it? Much better. What do you see there? An iceberg, is it so? So if you look at the iceberg, you can see generally only the top part of the iceberg. But underneath the water, there is a big chunk of the iceberg. So many of our lives are like that many times. When I walk like this with a good suit and all those kind of things, people, oh yeah. But inside of me, there may be a lot of things going on. Nobody knows about it. And sometimes I may not be even aware of it. So when I see my patient, when I see my veterans, when they start to tell me about their issues, there are things that they have nobody, they have not shared with anybody. So one day one veteran told me, I'm married to this woman for 38 years. And I had never told her, but I have done when I was in Vietnam. So she thinks that she knows everything about the veteran, but there are a lot of things that he has not shared with anybody else. So our life is like that, nice. Especially the veterans come to the hospital, the doctors, the nurses, the chaplain. There is only the top part. And nobody may not be, even they may not be aware what is underneath. Somehow, because of the government issues, I cannot connect this one to the computer and I'm trying to see both things together. So, in other words, if we can say, on the top part of the iceberg, we will see hypervigilance, physical flashbacks, insomnia, sleeplessness, depression. But underneath, there can be fear, guilt, and shame, and loss of meaning and purpose in life. It can be all of us can go through these things in our life. So Martin Luther King once said, people fail to get along because they fear each other. They fear each other because they don't know each other. They don't know each other because they don't talk to each other. They don't talk to each other because they have not communicated with each other. So many times, most of our problems comes from the feeling that nobody understands. Nobody understands. So that's the importance of having community education. That's the importance of getting to know one another, what their stories, what they are going through. And sometimes language can be a barrier in community. So how can we communicate with others? How do we connect with others? Through our emotions. Even people, those who do not able to talk, can communicate if we are able to recognize the emotion in the other person. So that's the importance of understanding people, understanding what they are going through by recognizing the emotion in our brothers and sisters and connecting with them so that we can be a support for them, we can be in a way understand what is going on. So this I have taken from the Mayo Clinic website, and because I used to work at the Mayo Clinic for almost 15 years. So they are kind of more authentic in that way. So whatever they put on the website, they go through a lot of inspection and so on. So they define post-traumatic stress disorder in order to become an incident or a condition to become a disorder. There are 4 Ds to remember in our mind: dysfunctioning, dangerous, distressing, and deviant. So in order to develop certain symptoms, it takes time. So a person who is exposed to the trauma need not to develop PTSD. But it is important that we know that can also lead to disorder. Traumas can lead to disorder. So post-traumatic stress disorder is a mental health condition that triggered by a terrifying event, either experiencing it or witnessing it. Symptoms may include flashbacks, nightmares, and severe anxiety, as well as uncontrollable thoughts about the event. Most people may go through traumatic events, may have temporary difficulty adjusting and coping, but with time as good self-care, they usually get better. If the symptoms get worse, last for months or even years, and interfere with your day-to-day functioning, you may have PTSD. So once you are exposed to a trauma or series of a trauma, if that is affecting your daily life, that is an indication that you may have developed a disorder, which is, according to the DSM can be an illness, can be categorized as an illness, as a disorder. So we need some professional help. So that is mainly what they are talking about. Yeah, PTSD symptoms are generally grouped into 4 types: intrusive memories, avoidance, negative changes in thinking and mood, and changes in physical and emotional reactions. Symptoms can vary over time or vary from person to person. So then when it comes to mental health, we all are different. The way we cope with things are different. So, but it is important that we become aware, or the family member become aware, their daily life, their daily relationship, all those things are affected. Have you seen the movie called Gran Torino? What was the biggest issue of that veteran? Towards the day he died, he goes to the priest and says, I don't know what happened to me. I was never closer to my children. I was never connected with my children. So the feeling of disconnection is a big issue for many people, those who have gone through traumas in their life, or any other psychological. We are humans. We are called to be in relationship with one another. Harmony. We are defined as social, and we are animals, but we are social, but have to be in connection with others as Christians. What is the basis of Christian life? Relationship. Relationship with God as well as with oneself and with our brothers and sisters. So what makes us human? Our ability to connect with one another and give meaning to that. So when people, those who have experienced traumas in their life, they may have a lot of thoughts going on, their behavior start to change, they may start to withdraw, they may not have, they may lose meaning and purpose in their life. So when I come to the other subject, we may talk more about it. So the word trauma comes from Greek word injury. So when I prepared for this presentation, I Googled. Nowadays we don't understand anything. What we do is we Google, don't we? So the Google definition, I think they took it from Oxford Dictionary. A deeply distressing and disturbing experience that is defined as trauma. But when I look at the Greek word, or the original word trauma means injury. Injury happening to a person can be physical, can be emotional, even can be spiritual. So the word PTSD we started to use from 1980s onwards. Before that, there is no diagnosis for PTSD. They call shell shock or something like that. Now, at the BA, maybe the last 10 years, we have been using another word called moral injury that happens along with PTSD. I will be talking about that later. So the very word trauma means injury. Injury happens, a distressing injury happens to a person. When you get injury, when you get physical injury, you get pain. So pain, when you have pain, that means there is a tissue damage somewhere. So when you are exposed to traumas, your emotional life can be changed. Your spiritual life can be changed because of the inequality happening in the spiritual life as well as emotional life. So what is crisis? Crisis is, if again defined as a time, intense difficulty, trouble, danger. A time of intense difficulty or a time of intense trouble or a danger. A time when difficult or important decision must be made. So usually I tell people, crisis is a time where you have a lot of emotions coming at the same time and you don't know what to do, but you also have to make a decision. That's called crisis. So what is grief? Usually we may define or we may say grief as associated with death. But grief can be connected with any loss that people go through in their life. So again, the grief can be defined as a group of emotion that people experience in their life when they have a significant loss or when they have a loss that they think as significant in their life. So what all things can we lose in our life? Can we lose relationships? Yes, marriage, friendship, maybe our parents, our children, when they die, we can lose relationship. We can lose pets, we can lose job, along with that sense of security. We will lose money, we can lose money, property. So when all these things, when we lose, we get lot of emotions. All those emotions can be put into one word called grief. So, especially veterans, and when I talk with veterans, they have a lot of losses in their life that they never dealt with. So, the 2015 DSM-5 put a new diagnosis called complicated grief. Complicated grief, that's a new diagnosis started in 2015. So these are the emotions people tell me when they come to hospital, the American hospital. So when these emotions last for a long period, that can lead to mental health issues. So initially I told you when a situation or an incident or a mindset to become an illness, it takes time. So you generally, when you go to see a doctor or a mental health professional, they may ask you, how long have you been feeling this way? Just to see how much time they have taken to see whether they can qualify for a disorder. So usually they may say 6 months. If something happened in your life, a traumatic things happen in your life, if you are not able to get out of bed, if you are not able to take care of your personal hygiene, if you are not able to take, we all are different. I'm just saying that after like 6 months. So we are going through these intense emotions in your life for a long period of time. It says that we may need some professional help in our life. So how to handle grief? So it is important that give ourselves time to grieve. We are living in a society, everything going so fast. I remember when one of the first things, decision that I made when I came to America was that I will not have a credit card and I will not have a savings. Guess what?
Yeah.
I now bought maybe 5 or 6 credit cards. It makes life become more easy. And also, iPhone, at that time, iPhone was not started. So when the iPhone came, I bought an iPhone. Now it is iPhone 14. Things go so fast, but our life doesn't go that. So there was an African proverb I heard. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you like to go far, go with others. So do you want, as humans, are we called to go far or go far? We are called to go far places. But many times the world is going, the things that around us going so fast, and people get walked alone. They left alone sometimes in their life. And lack of relationship can lead to mental health issues. So take time to breathe, take time to go through your emotion. I have seen people going through, they don't have time to take vacation, especially when somebody dies in the family. The husband dies, the funeral is scheduled to have after 1 month, and the wife doesn't have the leave to take time to grieve. So she comes back to work after 2-3 days. You think she is coping well? No. Later they can lead to issues. Likewise, many times veterans' life is like that. So many things happening in their life, especially when they are in the military and so on, and they don't have time to take to process it, and later they can lead to mental health issues. So it is important that we become aware of these things in our life and take adequate time to process this grief. This I have taken from the care notes, the bullets that I have taken from the care notes as a kind of an inspirational publication. So share your grief with people who understand. It is important that we take time and also find people who understand us, because as I told you in the first, we are social animals. We need others in our life. We are all to have relationships in our life. I have a woman in Minnesota. She came to the hospital with depression. And during the winter time, especially after Christmas and so on, people in Minnesota, because the lack of sunlight, people get a disease or illness called SAD, seasonal affective disorder. And she was admitted in the hospital. Her father, a Norwegian farmer, hardworking farmer, came to see her. And of course, I have a key to get out, and he asked me if I can get him out. So as we were both of us walking out, he said, "Oh, I don't know what to tell about my daughter. She is lazy. She lays down all the time on the bed and she cries. I don't know what is going on with her." He has no understanding there is an illness called clinical depression. Do you think he will be a good person to share her problems with? No. So it is important that we find in our life people who understand and share with them what we go through. I heard about the nature of American relationship on a public radio a couple of years ago, 5, 6, 10 years ago. It said during the World War II, an average American had 3 close friends. During the World War II, an average American had 3 close friends. Do you know what it is right now? one. That was 10 years ago. That is mainly in the Midwest. In the East Coast and in the West Coast, there are people who do not even have a single close friend. But they all have a psychiatrist or a psychologist. One day, a very experienced psychiatrist told me, a good therapist is nobody but a paid friend. Basically, you are buying their time to talk about your issues. They are clinically trained people. I myself is a mental health professional. I have 4,000 hours of clinical training before I got my license. So they are clinically trained people, but basically it is about relationship, building relationship. So find people in your life who understand you and share with you what is going. Can be a pastor of you, can be a friend of you, can be your spouse, can be your neighbor, maybe a colleague. Find somebody in your life that you trust and share what you do. Allow the healing tears to flow. You might have heard the phrase of talking, big boys or big girls don't cry. What does it mean? Crying is a weakness. So culturally, we may be taught some unhealthy practices. It's okay for men and women to cry. Allow the healing tears to flow. I met a veteran. I was taking a class on forgiveness. And I saw his face becoming red and red. Because forgiveness is a big issue for many veterans. So I thought he may be angry at me. Anyway, I just ignored him. So I saw him afterwards sitting like this. So after the class, he approached me and said, "Can I talk to you, sir?" He said, "Of course." He said, "Did you notice that I cried after 40 years?" I said, "What happened? Did I offend you?" He said, No. When you talked about forgiveness, I thought about a woman. He landed in San Francisco coming from Vietnam. And his uncle came to welcome him. And both of them were walking out of the shipyard harbor. And he saw a woman coming towards him, a beautiful young lady. He said, "I was so thrilled to see her. I was seeing a woman after 4 years." So she was excited to see her, but she had some oil, a black oil on with her, and she poured it on his uniform. He said, "I wanted to kill him, but my uncle prevented me from doing anything harm to him." Later I got married. My wife always said she needs something from me. I don't know what she was asking. Now I realize I'm still angry at that woman who poured oil on my uniform. I don't know where she lives. I don't know who she is and so on, but sometimes I see her in my wife. So I was never emotionally connected. See, I told you about the movie, Gran Torino, that disconnection. He was a good provider, but emotionally, he was not connected with his wife. And he started to cry. Another veteran told me, for a long time, I couldn't tell my wife I love her. The word love, I couldn't use that word. So people go through. So allow the healing tears to be good to yourself. Be good to yourself. Sometimes people, when they go through these traumas and can you give somebody something that you don't have? So in order to give love, you need to have love. In In order to care for other people, you need to know how to care for them. So be good to yourself. Share your gifts with others, whatever things that you have, gifts that you have. If you know how to sing, if you know how to draw pictures, use your gifts for other people. That's the one way of coping with others. The third one is making use of your spiritual support. I'm going into spirituality. So what is spirituality? Sometimes in our life, we may find ourselves sad, angry, and frustrated in our life, but we don't want to be there. We would like to be happy and joyful in our life, don't we? Yeah. So on the other hand, you can see on the green, what are the things people do to become happy in their life? Can be family, relationship, or belief system, religion, or nature, and also maybe at the bottom, they use the alcohol or drugs. You know the other word for alcohol? Spirit. If you go to Publix and ask them where is the section for the spirit, they will lead you to that section of the alcohol. So many times, actually, they heard, and neurologists talking about it, spirituality and alcohol work in the same part of the brain. One enhances the brain, the other destroys the brain. So that's the importance in the military and so on. Many veterans use alcohol because it is readily available. It's a muscle relaxant, but it has got addictive natures. We have two chemicals in the brain, so maybe we can talk about that later in the discussion part. So spirituality is our ability to experience lasting peace, joy, serenity, calmness in our life. So it enables us to connect with one another. And also it helps us to transcend, to go beyond us. In that process, we discover who we are, others, and higher power, people for God, Allah, Jesus, and so what are the that's there, higher power of transcendence. Yeah, spirituality makes us aware of our limitation and our past. So when people are experienced traumas, it can affect their spiritual life also. Because spirituality, I told you about maintaining the positive emotion. Our emotions comes from our thought process. And when you're exposed to traumas, research has found out that it affects their way of thinking, it affects their interactions. Sorry. So that's why it was connected with moral injury. In the emotional injury, it affects their way of thinking. That's why they call, the government does not want to use the word spiritual injury. They use the word moral injury. So many Vietnam veterans, when they came back, they give up religion, they change their way of thinking. So basic assumption about this, basic assumption about God can change. So the difference between PTSD, moral injury can happen before PTSD or traumatic incident. PTSD can during, moral injury can happen during the trauma or can happen after the incident. So the main emotions associated with different, there is Jonathan Shaw is he used to be a VA veteran and he treated many PTSD people. After many years of treating PTSD, he noticed that people are not getting better. That's how he started to use the word moral injury rather than treating people with a psychological or even this is the field of psychology, but introducing more spirituality into the PTSD treatment. So the basic issue there, people those who are exposed to PTSD, they may have fear and horror or hopelessness, whereas in the moral injury, people have more guilt and shame and anger. So these are some of the warning signs we as a VA employee, I always emphasize on prevention of suicide. So when those negative emotions comes, people do not know what to do. So all those things on the red in the scriptures, or especially in the Bible, are put as darkness. And everything positive emotions in the Bible is light. So for fear in the Bible, darkness is fear and light is love, and God is love. So when fear comes, what did Peter do? What did he do? He took the sword and he attacked. So fear goes out, according to Jesus. Fear goes out, it brings aggression. But what did Judas do? When the fear came, when he noticed that Jesus got arrested, that was not something that he expected to happen. He tried to give back the money and save Jesus. So they did not take the money. So more fear came to him. He couldn't blame anybody. So he turned that fear inside and committed suicide. So fear goes out, aggression, fear goes deep inside, becomes depression. So what is the best way to get out of fear? Love. That is why Jesus taught. To overcome. In love, there is no fear. Perfect love casts out all fears. So when there are negative emotions, when you see these symptoms in your life, so if you see somebody is isolated, you see somebody is crying, or you see somebody is giving away their materials, and so those are some of the warning signs. And I have given some leaflet that you can take home, and also there are reference crisis line numbers that you can use to call if you see somebody is struggling, or you can give it to them. Sometimes they may remember about it. So please take away those kind of things I have given and out there. So thank you very much. Sorry for giving 5 minutes more time.
Yeah. Thank you, Chaplain. The passage we have, Chaplain, or any questions that you may have, speak up if it's time to do something with any of these.
You can ask me any questions, but I may not have the answers.
But what type of love does that take? I don't know. They were mostly years.
The question he asked is what type of medication that or treatments. So especially when we are in a crisis like that, we need to take psychiatric medications. Then that is a crisis. What is important is to have stabilization. You need to clear your mind, your thought process. So better to, if you are in a crisis, get into a hospital. So the doctors have different methods. They need to monitor because some medication may have side effects. So it is always better to check in a hospital. Then sometimes we may need prolonged medication. Sometimes we may not need. I always tell people, medication is the means, but it has not be the end. So it is important we go through psychological, spiritual therapy. Even the word psychology comes from the Greek word spirit. So if you look at the history of psychology, maybe 200 years old, that's all. So before that, people had issues, don't they? Didn't they? So how did they manage it? So even now, most of the mental health counselors are pastors. Because, yeah. So we can use coupled with that.
What stuff do you take? First stuff you take, you know. First stuff you take.
For health, are you a veteran or not? If you are not a veteran, I encourage you again go to see a medical doctor. Okay, a medical doctor, but they are the one who patient or a psychologist. They can help you. But if you're in a crisis, go to any hospital. Any hospital. They have to take you, they will need to sterilize you. Then they will transfer you to appropriate place. Right? Go to any hospital. Don't use alcohol or drugs because that can change your way of thinking. Therefore, mood altering substances that changes your way of thinking. They changes because they all are chemicals. These chemicals goes to the brain. It interacts, misfires. That's why they have a lot of thoughts. Any questions?
How do you help somebody who may be in denial about what they're going through? Whether it's grief or trauma,
Yeah.
whatever, how do you help them?
That's why denial means fear. When there is fear, that's where mistrust comes. So it's part of this process, when you talk about grief, and some people may have that different types. Some people, denial can help in that way, but constantly in relationship, building up that way. One day one veteran told me, I don't trust people, especially when they say trust me, because of their experiences. So culturally, it may be, they can be denial. I don't know how to, once you are in denial, you cannot help. That's the way you need to have a good relationship with people who can trust you. You can, for example, just coming from, she was a doctor, come to be in a memory place. So her ability is declining. It's very difficult for her to accept. She want to make transfer to money to the bank, but luckily she has a friend that she appointed as the administrator of her power of attorney, all those things. So when we see her acting like that, we always refer to that person. That is what she trusts most. So it is important connect with people that you trust and listen to them. It's very difficult when you are in fear, you don't trust people. So that's why this is always said, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Jesus is the best psychologist. It's very wrong.
Man.
Any other questions? Let's give Chaplain Chacko.